as we move into this kind of transition that we're going into within the world, we're moving away from logic and the mind and strategy and moving into a time that's more based on intuition, feeling, kind of flowing. So we need to redefine what the mind means to us. So this is going to be key, how to make a decision without the mind. So from this conversation, we're going to look at two things. We're going to look at navigation moments. That's when even requires a decision to be made. The mind likes to make up times where it needs to decide something, and a lot of the time it's just overthinking. So when is a navigation moment? When do I even need to decide? And then we're going to look into navigation techniques. So this is how to decide without the reasoning of the mind. So we're looking at this from a human design perspective. So your navigation moments refer to your energy type, which is your strategy. It's just the terminology we use. And your navigation techniques refer to your inner authority. So we'll cover those. So navigation moments. It's not a tangible moment. It's rather how the moment came about. And I was mentioning that the mind likes to make up scenarios. It's like, I better decide this, or I better go and do this, or I should start a business, or I should do this. The mind likes to come up with lots and lots of things. But these are what I say, they're kind of false navigation points. There's nothing that's actually happened to require a decision. The mind has just gone, we need to decide this. Maybe I should leave. Maybe I should stay. Maybe I should start. Maybe I should quit. But there hasn't been a moment to trigger a decision needing to be made. So to go back to this slide, it's not a moment, but it's about how the moment came in. And this is specific to your energy type. So for manifesting generators and generators, your deciding moments, your navigation moments come in when you respond. This is the human design language. As a generator, you are responding to life every day, every moment, every second. This responding piece refers to your energy. Do I have the energy for this? And until you have this kind of draining of energy and it's like, I'm so frustrated, I don't want to be doing this, I haven't got the energy, it just doesn't feel right, which is a deciding moment. And also this kind of, I have the energy available, I don't know why, energy is just flowing. This is your energy center responding to life and going, I have the energy or I don't have the energy. You are responding to life. It can be as literal as walking down the street, seeing a poster for a comedy night and going, I have no idea why, I'm just really drawn to that poster and I'm going to go to that event. I don't know why. You're just responding to life the same way that you might be walking down the street and someone tries to talk to you and your energy just goes, oh, I just cannot do this. This is the responding. This is when you are deciding through the energy expanding or contracting, responding to life. It's not responding to an email, even though that is a literal version of responding, but responding all the time to life. The kind of caveat here is it has to be external than yourself. So when an idea comes in, and you go, oh, that's brilliant, I'm going to start a business. That's an internal conversation you're having with yourself. And you can't respond to those inner conversations. When you get those ideas, when you get those things that you want to do, like, oh, I might go camping or I might start a business, go speak to someone about it. Like, you know what, I've had this great idea. And from that conversation, when they say, do you want to do it? It gives you an opportunity to respond. So getting someone to ask you specific questions will help you to work out if you have the energy for it or not. Do you want to do this? Yes or no? It's always a yes or no. If it's an I don't know, it's a no, not right now. It's got to be a hell yeah. But it always has to come from outside of yourself, not inside your mind. Okay. So this is the response piece. So you're going through life and responding. That's your navigation moments. But if your mind is just saying, I've got to do this, I've got to do that, there's no decision that needs to be made. I haven't responded. I haven't got the energy. So your key question is, do I have the energy or not? Okay. Projectors. Your navigation moments come through invitation and recognition moments. So until you are recognized for whatever it is that you are doing, and you are invited to continue on that, or you're invited to enter into something, There's nothing really to decide. And in between the invitations, it's your duty to kind of raise your vibration. It's your duty to go through life. You don't need an invitation to go to the shops or to do the cleaning or to do a hobby, nothing like that. Invitations are there for your energetic interactions with other people. So when you're interacting with a partner or you're interacting because you want a new job, there needs to be an invitation first. So when you receive an invitation, that is your moment to navigate. And invitations are incredibly specific than you. It's not an open invitation or a general invitation. You are being recognized for yourself. So the invitation marks your point to start deciding. Manifestors, you're here to initiate after your inner wait. Unlike the other types, you're not here to wait for something external than yourself. You initiate based on your inner world and your inner authority, which we'll talk about next. But your decision-making moment comes from, there is this thing within me and I've got to initiate it, but you're waiting for that internal clarity depending on your authority. But you're not waiting for anything outside of yourself. You're having to step into your own power. No one's going to initiate you. You're here to initiate us. And reflectors. Reflectors, there isn't necessarily a word here. So I put down invitation because it's something that's often used in this situation. But reflectors are here to kind of flow with life as well as projectors. And having these invitations mark moments where you need to decide. So things like, will you marry me, is a deciding moment. So it's an invitation to decide. That is a kind of reflector point of starting to decide on that thing, and we'll talk about how you do that in the next section. Okay, so these are our navigation moments. Without this, there's no thing to decide about. So we can stop overthinking, we can address what thoughts are coming up, but there's nothing to decide on. They're just thoughts. Okay, so going on to these navigation techniques. So we've got our navigation moment, which is what we call in human design your strategy. Your strategy has been initiated. Your moment has been initiated. You've responded. You've received an invitation. You've got this kind of inner burn from this manifestor who's ready to initiate. And as a reflector, you've got somewhere you're trying to decide about going because you've received an invitation. Now we're here for our technique. So once there is this true time to decide, those navigation moments, we then use our inner personal technique to navigate the way. This is personal than you. This is to empower you to make your own decision. And this is without the mind. And we're moving away from a time where we're going to gurus for the answers. It's not about going to our, and I say this with love and respect, it's not about going to our psychic mediums or our astrologists, which are amazing. I still go to them because they're great entertainment for our minds. But it's not about that. It's not about outsourcing our decision to our friends or our family or asking what other people think. Your decision has to come from inside yourself. We're moving to a time where we have to start relying on ourselves and trusting ourselves to make the correct decisions, to ride the waves of life with more ease. So your inner authority, your inner navigation technique is how you ride that wave with much more ease and to align with what you are here to do, your personal alignment, your personal geometry, your personal path. No one else's. Okay, we'll look into these now. As generators or manifesting generators, there are two different ways that you are here to make decisions. You will only have one of these, but I'm giving you both the ways that generators will have the deciding techniques. If you have your emotions defined in your chart, or your chart says you are a solar plexus authority, you're here to wait over time before you make your decision. So you respond to life, you see that poster, you're like, I'm going to go to that comedy night. But for you, it's about waiting over time to see if your decision stays the same. Because for you, with an emotional authority, what you feel about that will change over time. It will go up and it will go down. Some days you'll want to do it, some days you won't want to do it. So making a spontaneous decision can often backtrack because the next day you don't want to do it, or the next day you do want to do it. So waiting over time to find the average of your emotions and you want anywhere between 55% sure of a decision and 75 or 85% sure of a decision, that's when you go and do it. You're not looking for 100% sure, because your emotions always change. So for you, waiting over time, there is no truth in the now. You're waiting to respond, and you wait over time to feel into the average of your emotions. There's no reason why. For our sacral generators and our sacral manifesting generators, yours is quite simple in some ways. You're here to respond to life. And that is the only step, as in once you've responded, that is your decision. It's not about waiting. It's about moving with your flow of energy. If you don't have the energy for something, it's not for you. You are incredibly magnetic. Your body has like a fuel tank of energy. It replenishes itself every single day. You sleep, it replenishes, you have a full tank of energy for the day ahead. So your sacral response, I have energy for this, is saying, this is where my fuel is available for. This is where my energy is available. That's it. That's the bottom line. And when you do that, you're experiencing this kind of satisfying use of your energy. But when you are using it for things you don't have the energy for, you feel frustrated and depleted, and it manifests physically. You have energy, but only for your things. It's the same for the emotional generator, but waiting over time to make sure it's the right thing. You have energy there. Okay. Yes or no. Then I don't know, it's not the right thing for you. Okay. So these are the main types of deciding, because most people will fit into these categories. But just to run through the other types and their navigation techniques, projectors have 5 different authorities, and again, you will only have one of them. We'll start again with the emotional projectors. The advice is similar, because you're waiting over time for your average in your emotions. There will be no reason as to why you're making that decision. It will be a feeling. It will be, I don't know why, I just feel this way rather than this way. And you move with that. So you're waiting for your invitation, and then waiting over time before you accept or decline. Never a spontaneous decision. The kind of opposite of this is the splenic projector. Once you receive your invitation, without using the mind, you are using your first instinct. This is what we call gut. Really, this is splenic gut intuition. It's your first knowing. And if you wait too long, or you miss that first intuitive nudge, it becomes less and less clear. So for you, make that decision in the moment from your first intuitive nudge. The ego projected projectors, if that is your authority, they are very, very rare. However, if you have this as your authority, you're looking for your I statements. You know what, I'd love to write a book. I'd love to do this. So when you get an invitation that comes in, do you want to write a book? You go, you speak about it. You know what, I'd love to. Then go and do it. You're waiting to see what your desire is around this. Listen to your I statements, your desires and your dreams. That's what you're here to follow. The self-projected projectors, you need to listen to your voice by speaking outside of yourself. You can try this in a few different ways. When your invitation comes in, you then soundboard it out. Some self-projected projectors will voice note themselves or write it down. Some of them will talk to themselves in the mirror and they get clarity. But you can also experiment with speaking to other people in aura. What you're listening for is the tonality of your voice and the words that you're choosing. So things like, you know what, I'm really looking forward to it. And you sound really bored, it's not for you. You're listening to yourself say it, and you can hear the excitement in your voice. You know, when you're trying to convince someone you don't want to do something, when you do it, you can hear it in your voice. So listen to the tonality of the voice and listen to the words that you choose. And that's where your clarity will come from. Mental projectors, also quite a rare bunch. I am a mental projector. It will often show up on a chart as no inner authority or environmental authority or mental authority. We are also here to soundboard out, and we have to do this outside of ourselves. We need to do this with other people. To soundboard as a mental projector, you probably want a soundboarding group of 5 or 6 people, and you need to hear yourself talk to those people separately and to hear the consistency in each of those conversations. What tends to happen is a knowing comes in. It's like a resonance, a frequency comes in, and you're like, that's my decision. And you just check that with the next person and the next person, because you're seeing if there's a consistency to that knowing when you are speaking to other people in aura. It's not a gut feeling. Don't go with your first instinct. For the emotions, the ego, the self-projected, the mental projectors, making decisions in the moment will take you off track. It's about slowing down with your decisions. No truth in the now. For our manifestors, there are 3, and then the next slide is for our reflectors. So for our manifestors, again, your decision-making point comes in because you get this inner burn, this inner knowing, you've waited for it. If you are an emotional manifestor, you're waiting over time to see if that burn is still there. Like, I still want to do this, but you're waiting over time, because if you initiate too fast, you might not want to do it tomorrow, because your emotions change, your feelings change. So again, waiting over time to feel into your emotional average and then initiate. If you're a splenic manifestor, it is initiating from your intuitive nudge straight away. I feel it, okay, I'm initiating. It's your instinct, it's your intuition, it's your gut. And for an ego manifestor, again, it's your I statements, it's your desire. It's, what do I really have a burning desire for? What does my heart want to do? And you initiate when you have the energy that is built up enough, and you then go and initiate. You're not waiting for someone to come and invite you or to initiate you. You are initiating that. And finally, for our reflectors, this is an interesting one. All of the other types are what we call solar beings. Reflectors are lunar beings, very, very rare, 1% of the population. If you're a reflector, when you receive your invitation or you receive your moment, you need to decide something, it's about waiting 28 to 29 days. That's the whole lunar cycle. It's waiting a whole month. So for you, mark in your calendar when you started deciding, and then come back to it after a month. For you, you are really driven and moved by the moon, and you will feel different every single day. So the only consistent within you is the pattern of the moon moving around your chart. So after 28 to 29 days, you've done a full cycle of every single combination you could feel. If you need to do another cycle, just wait another month. It's not about making a quick decision. If it's for you, it will wait. So wait for the whole lunar cycle and see what you feel like at the end of that month. If you need another month, wait again. It's the same with the other authorities for emotional, for example, or ego projected or manifested, anything that's not sacral or splenic. All the other types, wait as long as you need. Wait as long as you need. If it's a month, wait. If it's 2 months, wait. I've met people moving in and out of relationships that have taken a year to decide, because that decision is a navigation point. Those things change our lives. They are the point of navigation. I take it very seriously. So, to summarize these 2 things that we've covered in this conversation and why we've even done this. So we've learned when a navigation point is present, because otherwise it's just your mind ticking away and thinking. And your mind is, if you've listened to the other conversations, your mind is very, it's predicting things. It's guessing what's coming next. That's what we spoke about last time. It's figuring out what it needs to be doing, looking for direction. It's going, maybe I'm going to hurt this person. You know what? I'm just going to leave this person now because I'm going to hurt them. No, there's no decision-making point there. Is it your mind or is it your energy? For a sacral generator, for example, one of the fears there could be, I'm gonna hurt someone, you know, because there's a people-pleasing tendency if you're a pure generator. People-pleasing and concerned about hurting people, or things being too emotionally intense, just one aspect of this. And if you go, you know what, I'm just scared I'm going to hurt someone, or I don't want to be seen, or whatever it is, that's not your energy leading you, that is your mind leading you. When you make a decision from these techniques, there are going to be no reasons for your decision. You won't know why. It will be, it's because I have the energy or I don't have the energy. I don't know why. I'd love to go to the cinema. I don't know why. I've just got no energy. I just need to go home. You know, I'd love to go to the comedy night, but I don't have energy for it. Okay, there's no reasons, the same as all of the other techniques that we've spoken about. And we've learned how to decide without the mind, because we know the mind can lead us astray, because it's basing it on reasons, it's basing it on pros and cons, and the mind is basing those pros and cons off of a predicted future that we don't know exists yet. I always like to think, for example, pre-pandemic I find it's a great example. People before the pandemic are probably like, you know what? We need to book all of these holidays. These are going to be great. I just know we're going to have a great year next year, because the mind is predicting that what we've had before is going to continue. Did anyone predict that we were going to have a lockdown, for example? Therefore, everyone with those holidays, well, they couldn't go. Or everyone that bought a car that year, well, we couldn't drive anyway. So that's just one example. Your mind thinks of all the things it wants to decide. But if there's no point of navigation, and your inner authority, your technique to decide, hasn't said yes, then it's just the mind guessing. And that's where the chaos of life comes in, when you give your mind the authority to control your life. So from a human design perspective, we always say this is the human design experiment. So experiment with this. We call this strategy and authority. And that's all the human design experiment is, just connecting with your strategy and your authority.